What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Paint Society. Now, if you notice a little friend hanging out right here, that is actually for you guys, and today is the first video that I use this wireless microphone from Rode. I did a little bit of research and I wanted to be a little bit clearer in the booth, especially when I'm talking behind the mic, and the standard mic just does not pick up anything behind it. So we're gonna try this out. It's a little bit expensive, well, but it might be worth it for you guys so you can hear me, because if you can't hear and you can't see, you can't learn. So what we have here is an actual trunk on a new car that had some issues, some white spots, dots that would not buff out. So we had to go ahead and prime some areas, and then there was an issue right here with a little body work. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and sand this down with a 400 grit, not 40, 400 grit on a block. Mario just got us a new primer gun, so I'm going to show that to you maybe in another video. And it lays the primer so smooth, and it's so important to have a good primer gun, because now I have less work to block out this actual primer. Go from 400 to 600, and then give everything a nice clean, and then we'll be good to go. Now, as I'm sanding, I'm doing like an X pattern here, going one way and then I'm going the other way. And what that's gonna do is help even out the scratch. Now, a 400 grit by hand is much more rougher or severe than a 400 by DA. And I'll be doing a video upcoming showing you the difference in what grits to use in certain situations. So all we're looking to do here is really just block out our primer, and then we'll come over the whole entire trunk with 600. We're not doing a blend here because this particular color we can match perfectly, but we are going to be reshooting the whole entire trunk on the top because it has issues everywhere. What we did there is we 400 grit it. Now we have 600. We have the 3M prepping pad and then a soft pad, and that's going to make the scratch even less aggressive, and a smoother scratch is going to mean for a nicer paint finish in the end. So we're going to go over the whole trunk. I already 600 it, but I'm going to go over once more and get it ready for paint. Okay, so we've got our gray pad here. It's the last step, and we're gonna go around to all our edges. This is equivalent to 800. So we're gonna scuff up all the edges to make sure they're nice and crisp. Okay, so we just used the gray pad. Now we're gonna go over it with 800. Mario just gave us a good tip, which I think we all should follow, is that scuff pad, since you're doing it by hand, leaves aggressive marks. So 800 over the whole thing. Smoother the panel, the smoother the paint, the nicer the job. Okay, so we got that 800 down, so we're gonna blow it off, and then we're gonna clean it with wax and grease, water-based remover, get it all cleaned up, and then we're gonna go ahead and pull it into the booth for the next step. So we're gonna get this car all pulled in. As I step in here, it's only got 380 miles. It's gotta be some sort of factory defect. I know it's been resprayed at one time, but you know, we're the professionals to take care of this stuff. So we're gonna have this looking like it never happened, and we wanna make sure this car comes out super clean. Just gonna show you some tips here as I pull this car in, how to mask it up, and what processes to take. I hope you guys are learning something from the channel. So we're gonna go ahead and get this taped up. You know, the cool thing about having this already kind of taped up from primer and not necessarily having to do a lot of sanding and primer work is we can keep this same tape on here and we don't have to go ahead and retape the whole car. So I'm gonna run a little bit of tape in here. We're gonna use the trunk's natural gap here to create a nice even area or a nice even line at the top of the trunk. So, you know, the key to a nice clean paint job, especially on black, is to get some pretty decent tape lines, you know. If you can keep out all that dust from popping up, you're gonna have a much nicer job in the end. Now, there's a few ways to tape, and not every single way I do is a way that you have to do. But, you know, I like to back mask in some areas to make sure that no overspray gets underneath. That's a clean way to do it, but you also don't have to do it like that. So, other than staying clean throughout the job, you always want to make sure that you leave your panel in at least 800 grit so that it's smoother. When it's a smoother finish, a smoother surface, that paint is going to lay smoother. It's not going to be so gritty, all right? Because remember, it's only going to lay in to exactly what it is sanded to. So if you sand it less aggressive, it's not going to be as smooth in the end. You know, I really feel like painting is just 5% of the overall job. And all painting really does is show how good you prepped. So if you guys spend a little more time in prepping, you find that your finishes come out really good. And that's why I like prepping most of my own jobs with Diaz, because we really understand. And also the other guys, Mario and Laz, do a really good job. And we're all on the same page about it. So anyways, you can see here now, I'm ready for plastic. I have all my edges bordered out. And I'm gonna throw some plastic on here, get it all cut up, and then we're gonna go ahead and get this thing painted. So other than cleanliness, you know, guys, we're looking for the clean job, and on black is when you're gonna notice it most. I don't wanna be here all day buffing. I don't wanna take off clear for lack of UV resistance in the future. Customer brought the car, bought it brand new off the showroom floor. He wants a quality job. You know, sometimes we forget that these jobs that we're doing for actual people like ourselves, you know, and if it's not good enough for you, depending on your expectations, and hopefully they're high, then it shouldn't be good enough for someone else that is working every day to afford that car. And you know, that's what we're here for. So, you know, is it about speed? Well, we've got two options here. We have medium and we have slow. Now medium, it's gonna put the paint put it down real nice as a reducer, and slow, it's gonna take a little bit longer. Do I want to get out of here, or do I want a nice job? Okay, so a lot of guys sometimes forget that slower is actually faster, because it's going to give you a nicer, smoother finish. Whereas with medium, you might have an issue with that paint trying to lay down. So we're going to use the slower. It's calling for 107.3 grams of slow reducer. And something I'm going to do, I'm going to add just a little bit more, just to make that smooth out just a hair more. It's a little bit of a trick for a cleaner job, because remember, the jobs are cleaner based off how you spray and what you're putting into the paint. Some guys think that all of a sudden the paint or the dirt comes in the clear coat, when in theory it's actually there, but the clear coat just shows it. So let's put this in there and let's start spraying. So we're all ready for paint. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my tack rag first, and I'm just gently going to go over the whole panel. This is going to remove any debris, anything, and I'm a tip for motivated painters. If you guys follow Gabe, great guy, met him once, almost met him again last week. You want to tack that areas around the plastic. It's got dirt and dust hanging out. It's important. Okay. Now speaking of plastic, when I was covering this car, I got statically shocked like 3 times. So there's static around here. So although this is not a plastic panel, I'm still going to use a neutralizer to neutralize the area around and over the panel. Okay, now these are all steps to get clean jobs. Now, getting a clean job, you know, I told you to use a slow reducer, and I love the DV1 gun. You know, your job's going to depend on what kind of products you use and what kind of gun you use. I love this DV1. I tried the clear coat gun, didn't like it too much. You can check the review. I'll have it up in the up top here. And you want to set it up so you're spraying at a very low pressure. This sprays around 15 psi. I got it wide open with the fan just about wide open, and I'm spraying medium wet coats. And medium wet coats are going to smooth out and dry nice. If I spray it from this distance, okay, you got about 12 inches here, that means you're spraying scared, okay? It's going to land dry, it's going to be gritty. If I get about 4 to 5 inches right in here and move with it like you're about to see, you're going to see it in the end smooth out super nice, and the clear coat is just going to follow. Every layer follows. So this is the most important step right here. If you're going to seal it, that's just as important, but we use a black primer, so we are good to go. There you have it. The first coat is on, guys. It's wet. Now that's going to dry nice and smooth. That's what black base coat, or majority of any base coat, should look like. It almost looks like it's been clear coat, when in fact it's already starting to dry in the middle in different areas. That's what we call flashing. Okay, so we're going to let the product flash for about 10 minutes. Okay, we're going to hit the heat on the booth to about 120. Okay, and once it's somewhat flat in this system, it doesn't completely flatten out, then we're ready for our second and possibly third coat. So let's let it flash, and we'll see what it looks like when it's ready for the second coat. So that sure did flash pretty quick. So since we have a decent paint line here, we can really utilize less coats. Now on black, sometimes it looks a little scratchy. That's the way black looks, but it's not to worry, it's not a problem. So we're gonna put second coat on, and we're actually, after our second coat, while it's still wet, glossy, we're gonna do the orientation, the drop coat right away. This is a black, but it's got some sort of like metallic crystal pearl in it, and we wanna make sure that's nice and oriented properly. So we'll hit the second coat down, and then we'll do that half coat, which is an orientation coat. I'm not gonna change anything on the actual pressure itself, just gonna increase my distance. Now you're thinking like, well, can I increase my distance? It's gonna land dry. Well, if I didn't put that second coat down initially, yeah, it would land dry. But think about this, it's landing on it in an ocean. It's not landing in the sand. So let's do that. So there you have it, guys. We are going to let that dry. 2.5 coats. Application is going to dry super, super smooth. You can tell we're really covered here. I don't like to tack too much. The reason why is I don't want to introduce any sort of static. Sometimes dirt, you know, the tack rag, it's been run across a few jobs previously. And even when you have a brand new one, sometimes they're tacky. Even high quality ones, I still experience some sort of tackiness with them. So gonna let that dry, and then we'll take a look at it, and I'll see if we'll run a tack cloth over it right before clear, and then I'll show you a little bit more about the settings on that WS 400. All right, so that base coat is all nice and flashed off. I'm gonna get my tack rack here ready. I can tell just by looking at it, it's super smooth, but if I wanted to be sure that it was exactly smooth, or if I thought there might be some dirt in it, you can go over with it like 1,000 grit. Take out any of that little nib, any of those nibs, because those nibs are going to show through in the clear. And if you try to bury them in the clear, you don't want to do that. You want thin, medium, wet coats. So I'm going to take my rack, I'm going to take my tack rack, and I'm just gently going to go over it. And I can tell how smooth my job is just by how it glides over the finish. Like a freshly waxed car. It's not getting hung up or stuck anywhere. See that? So you know for sure this job's going to come out super nice and slick. Now, the next thing we want to do is make sure you have optimal settings on your gun. And I'm going to do that right after I spray this first coat of clear. I'm going to show you how to set this gun up. I'm going to show you why I love it so much right now. So since that last review, you know, I wasn't really too crazy about the DV1 clear coat gun. Still love the Vilbis. I mean, my guy Mario just picked up this awesome primer gun. I used it for the first time, and man, it just atomizes so well. It makes for less sanding of the primer. So, you know, it's so hard to beat the contender that I've always been used to. And, you know, the thing about the Vilbis, what I love is they kind of like, they make their guns really easy to spray. But on a clear coat gun, you need that. You need those extra balls to really, you know, atomize that clear. So on this particular gun, some people have been asking me about the settings. On the fan, this is very important because this gun wide open is horrible. So I open it all the way, okay? So when I open it all the way, right, you can see that. I'm gonna turn it 1 full turn, 2 full turns, 3 full turns, and leave it. Now it could still go more, but we're gonna leave it there. Here is 1 turn from wide open, okay? And pressure I have around 33 to 34. So We're gonna let that flash for a few more minutes. It's a fast clear, so but it's still very high quality clear. Flash time is about 5 minutes, and then we're gonna put that second coat on, pop you on my head so you get a different perspective, and then we'll see what it looks like when it's all done. The second coat I'm gonna lay on a little bit slower and a little bit wetter, because I know this coat is gonna stick into it really well. So it's all cleared, and boy does it look good. So you might have noticed that I slowed down on that second coat, okay? I slowed down because that first coat was now tacky, just like the backside of a piece of tape. So that second coat can really lay into it without having to worry about running, which is really, really important. And boy does it look phenomenal. I don't even know if we have to buff it. I'll check it out in the morning and nib out anything I need. That's how you make yourself a little bit more productive, by just getting a cleaner job. So guys, I really hope you appreciate all the content that's coming, because I certainly appreciate all of the comments. I take the time and I answer every single one, and I usually get to them really, really quick, because I want this page to be all about communication, helping you guys learn, whether you're at the professional or the do-it-yourself level. I've been at both, and I really want to learn from some of you. So leave a comment. Don't forget to check out Paint.Society on Instagram, where you can get a closer look at what's to come before it hits YouTube. This is Brian, just reminding you, not overthink it, it's just paint. Let's take a look.